Hi, welcome. My name is Angelique, and today I'm starting off the series of Mercury astrology. So, we're talking about Mercury through the signs, and this is the first episode. So, we're starting with the Aries. Aries loves to be the first, so that is what we're going to get into today. If it's your first time listening to me, I'm a student of astrology for 30 years and I have a background in psychology, mental health, and counseling. So I love to dive deep. I love to uncover some things, maybe in our psyche, strengths, challenges, anything hidden, or just like learning about ourselves. And while astrology is really good for the future and prediction, it can also be a really helpful tool for understanding ourselves, self-care, our physical being. So taking astrology down from the heavens and the ethereal realm for a second, just taking a beat, and we're bringing it down, grounding it. I like to do that. And so we're going to get some practicality out of it. Like, what can looking at your natal chart do for you practically? And that's not just physical, but it's emotional, it's energetic, it's spiritual, it's all those good things. So I love astrology. So for the Mercury series that I'm going to do, I'm going to touch more about the mythology and symbolism of Aries as it relates to the curiosity and the interest of that sign. So not so much the background. If you want to know more about the personality of the sign of Aries and the symbolism, I talk more about that just broadly in more general terms in the Sun and Aries episode I do. You can check that out if you'd like to. But this is just going to focus on Aries, the sign, and how curiosity and interest are expressed. What does that look like? The Aries is ruled by the god Mars, not to be confused with the Greek god Ares, which is very similar. I stay on the Roman mythology track for most of these placements, just to make it easier, because it gets all, and honestly, Roman and Greek, they borrow a lot from each other. Aries and Mars are kind of similar when it comes to the mythology, but Mars, as it relates to what you're curious about, what you are interested in. So Aries is ruled by the planet Mars, which is relates to the god Mars in Roman mythology, and Mars was very interested in himself. So let's say that. But that interest also extended to action, to just taking direct action. And so that could be physical, but that could also be intellectual and really interested in things that are quick moving. So things that are either in short bursts, things that are over very quickly. So there's an impulsivity in the interest and the communication when it comes to the god Mars. So that's what's going to color all these interests. So when we think of Mercury in the sign of Aries, we think of someone who is curious about, they are very curious and interested about things that are quick or fast paced, or things that don't take a long time to build a foundation, goals that are really like take a long time to develop, if it's like a career or an educational pursuit. Mercury in the sign of Aries might have a hard time with that, unless it's something that changes a lot, is very uh, quick, or lets them be very passionate about it. But I would say Mercury inside of Aries, they would be more curious and interested in self-paced or fun type of learning environments. And so Aries here is because Mars as a god was a military leader. There's going to be a lot of interest in anything with the body. So anything physical, going to be very, very interested in. Um, especially if Aries got, or I'm sorry, especially if Mars got to show his power and his strength and conquer and get his goals met. There's a lot of frustration that can happen mentally when Mercury is in the sign of Aries because things aren't easy, quick, and done, especially when it comes to things that take mental energy. So there can be a lot of frustration, there can be a lot of internal stress just day to day. A lot of things do not just happen overnight. And those things that do, they might fall apart just as easily. So it can be challenging in some way. But when we look at the symbolism, we have an interesting pairing again because Aries is the element of fire and Mercury is the element of air. So we have air and fire together, which can be disastrous. If you're listening to this at the time I post it, there's some wildfires happening in Canada, which is the fire is just spreading, and wind is making that disastrous. And so when we think of communication with this planet, it means ideas can come very, very quick, like at the drop of a hat, like very passionate, motivating ideas can come very quick with this placement. However, because of, like I said, that wildfire example, the ideas can range on destruction. So, for example, someone with Mercury in Aries, let's say they are very interested in music, but the way that they're listening to it is maybe impacting people in a public setting or at a school, or it's not the right time to be listening to it. But because Aries can be more self-interested, they might not want to obey those rules or laws, especially if it's spontaneously like, oh, I want to listen to the song at 11 p.m. and I listen very loud and I have these speakers booming, but maybe they live in a very quiet neighborhood or they have neighbors or they have roommates. So that's just one example, but the selfishness or just the just not having the understanding to include other people, it can be seen as a barrier. It can be subconscious too. They might not be going out, trying to start fights like that, but Aries, this energy doesn't like to be impeded in their goals at all. So if there's something they're interested about, something they're curious about, and someone tells them to stop, like that example with listening to music, if someone tells you stop, then that can lead to an altercation, that can lead to a fight, and that could end badly for some people. So that's where that destruction can come in. The thinking and the curiosity with Mercury and Aries is kind of like that beeline. It can be one track, and usually it's about themselves. So if they're talking to other people with Mercury and Aries, or I should say with people with the sign, when they talk to people, sometimes they might just want to talk about whatever they're interested in, even if the social norm is to ask other people how they're doing. They may not want to, especially if they find it boring. Now, when Mercury in Aries gets to be with someone or to learn about something that they are passionate about, then it can go off like gangbusters. Like they can really go back and forth. It can be really exciting. These are people that can be, if they channel it into expression in some way, like art or writing, the telecommunications, anything like that, social media, they can, especially if they're doing something they're passionate about, it can really stand out. So they can be seen as a leader or just like someone that has a lot of excitement, and they can really attract people by doing things that they are excited about, or just expressing things that they are passionate about. So for Mercury and Aries, ways you can use this placement, I talked about it a little bit, but ways you can use this to help bring balance to your life is to do any type of communication or self-expression that is very exciting to you, very passionate to you. The more that you do that, the more you can help lessen any stress or nervous energy. This is a sign or placement that doesn't like to sit still, especially if they can't express themselves, their thoughts, their ideas for a very long time in some capacity. It can be really hard. We have a very Aries is very impulsive energy. So in the sign of Mercury, the communication can be very impulsive. They could say what comes to their mind without thinking about it. So can get in trouble. So it's helpful to have an outlet, and that outlet be something you are interested in, that you are passionate about. Now, this can be, like I said, as I said before, Aries relates to the body. So it can be very helpful for people with a sign to do something physical, especially if it's intense or in short bursts. So I think of like sprinting, but it can be anything. It can just be stomping your feet uh, for a minute or two. This can be like anything explosive and quick, and it goes away very quick. So if you work at a desk job, so say maybe on your way to the bathroom, you do a bunch of jumping jacks or something like that. That can really help. But you also can use this just for a career, because Mercury, while it's our interests are curious, we are not going to stick with things very long if we are not interested in them. So Mercury in Aries, it might be great to get into a field that, number one, you are very passionate about, but also something that is fiery and relates to Aries in some way. So maybe you work in a health field where you're doing the body, personal training. Maybe you yourself are a dancer or a massage therapist or anything anything that relates to the body. This can also just be a pioneering field. Mercury in Aries loves novel ideas that just come to them, and they were the first to do it. They're very independent. It's something that hasn't been seen before. So we see a lot of inventors, innovators that can have the sign. So you might be very interested in leading or doing something on your own. That's a field like science or any type of business. But Mercury in Aries, the interest keeps growing when you are passionate about it. So something that is passionate or something that's Aries adjacent, like I said, the head, the face, the body, physical body movement, any of those that you are passionate about, that is where your interest can go. So if you're not able to do it for work, at least finding a hobby or something that relates to where you're able to express yourself in a very big way, a bold way. You have this fiery energy here. So you want to be bigger, you want to be seen, you want to express yourself authentically. So any field or career or hobby that allows you to express your passions or to feel passionate, um, friendships, interpersonal communication relates here too. So having friends, having partners where the nature of the speech is very quick, very exciting, very passionate. So those type of communications are what really are going to draw you in. Someone who takes a long time to talk, or is their speech is not very exciting, that can be very dull. That can be really difficult. It's not impossible, but you might just not connect with people as easily. So if you're really looking for types of partners, friendships, or a job, that communication has to be there, that curiosity to be something that's really passionate and fiery and bold. And if there's a chance for you to think independently, that can also be really good. All right, that's what I have for Mercury and Aries. Thank you so much for listening. If you have this placement and you want to share how this shows up for you, I'd love to hear that. But otherwise, thank you again and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye bye.